What are your best this customer is totally trying to screw us over stories. I used to work for a furniture company in the mid-90s. One day, we got a memo that there was a former coworker who was using stolen cards to do in-store pickups or deliver us to fake addresses, like an apartment, but they would pick up the furniture in the apartment lobby, claiming the elevator was broken or something. The FBI was getting involved because it was in the amounts of thousands of dollars across state lines. A few days later, I got a call. A big order. The kind of order that would blow over quota and give me a bonus. Can you deliver this to New Jersey? Sure. I took down the credit card info. Then I asked for a callback number so I could relate the shipping info. They hesitated. I said MasterCard required it. Let me give you a Visa, then. Okay. I told that info and then said, oh, I forgot. Visa does, too. I'll call you back, they said. So I called the home office and told them I think it was those guys. The MO checked out and they said if they call back, try and get an Amex card and then don't ask for a callback number. Just set up delivery. And hours later, they called back, got my assistant, and I told her to just take the order. When it was completed, she had an Amex card order for some ungodly amount. I called the home office and they arranged a sting with the FBI. Later, the drivers told me what had happened. They had to make a rendezvous point where they loaded a bunch of armed agents into the truck. Then once the woman signed the bill of landing, the FBI goon squad jumped from the truck and arrested her and 4 accomplices without much resistance. Later, MasterCard, Visa, and Amex gave me reward checks for recovering stolen cards. Sweet. Working at Sears in electronics. Lady tries to return a video camera. I open the box to check the merchandise, breaking the seal. She is visibly not happy about that and asks what I'm doing. I continue to open it. It's a camera several years old in a new box. She pretends to be surprised. Man brings in Casio keyboard box. Proclaims he bought it from one of my associates. We do not sell keyboards. I explain that to him. He is angry and asks where he got it from then. I say okay. I start to open it. He is very mad. I keep going. He runs out of the store. It's 3 pieces of plywood. I work at Olive Garden and we have that oh so famous soup and salad deal. Well, I had a party of 4 come in, all about 16 or 17, all order soup and salad. Considering they're my only table, I, fairly quickly, bring out drinks and their soup and salad. They all thank me and start eating. Before I walk away, they ask if they can see my manager. I assume they want to put in a good word. My manager comes over. Let me explain him really quick. He is from some Pacific Island country and has a very hard time understanding people when they talk too quickly, let alone how the company is run and how to even use the computers to put in orders. No, I don't know how he got this job. Well anyway, my manager comes over and asks the table what he can do for them. Very little, obviously. They start complaining that I'm an awful server and have yet to bring out any of their food. According to them, they never got anything, drinks or food. Now, it's quite obvious that they got everything they ordered. They demand that everything get taken off the bill. Now my manager isn't obviously going to argue with them because he won't understand what he's arguing about. So he just gives them all free food, free dessert, and a $25 gift card. And I get written up for customer complaints. But it doesn't end there. They stiff me, yes. But one of the 17 or so slutbags has the audacity to leave me her phone number with her name. I formulate my plan. I call her well after my shift with them, 2 days actually. After a few rings it goes to voicemail once, with the typical hello, you've reached the Sprint voicemail box of perfect. She calls back. I start hello, I'm calling in regards to your most recent bill with Sprint. She instantly calls for her mother. Her mother picks up. Hello, sorry to call under such harsh pretenses, but your daughter recently came into an Olive Garden I work at, nearly gets me fired, and then stiffs me. I go on to tell my story. She actually takes my side and makes sure everything is taken care of. The next day I work, I receive a letter with $50 and a handwritten note saying how her daughter will be selling her new car, never seeing the light of day, blah blah blah. Apparently she does this to a lot of servers and a lot of different restaurants, according to her mother, who recently found out. Used to work at a bookstore, and for a while I was the guy who covered breaks for the people in the music and movies area. One day, a woman, in her late-ish 20s, clearly someone who works out, fake tans, fake nails, you know the type, comes to the store with an open DVD and asks the guy at the front desk to do a return. He asks why she wants to return it. She says she didn't like it. He then explains that we don't accept returns on open DVDs, shows her the sign saying as much, and says if it isn't defective there isn't anything he can do. She gets angry and decides to try to come upstairs to try getting the refund from me. The front desk guy calls me, lets me know what's going on. I see her get off the escalator and watch her break the case for the DVD which she had bought. She approaches and I calmly explain to her why we can't accept a refund, because she simply didn't like the DVD. She tells me she wants to return it because it's broken, so I tell her I witnessed her break it on her walk over to me. She goes apeshit at me and demands to see my supervisor. At this point the person who was on break returns and is sort of my supervisor, so I told her the situation and let her try to explain the exact same thing. The woman is now furious and demands to speak to a manager. Manager walks over, we explain the situation to him and expect him to be the final I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. Instead, the pansy manager took one look at the woman and said well, just this once let's make an exception. I used to work for the Source Radio Shack in the US in a very low traffic area, so we wouldn't get any people who come in just to browse like at the malls. People came in with an idea of what they wanted, and it was up to me to get it for them. So I'm alone. Manager is on lunch, and this old frail lady walks in. I ask if I can help her, and she gives me a scoff and rolls her eyes. I need a cell phone. I help her out as much as I can. I tell her that pay-as-you-go are the cheapest rates, and have no contracts to bind you. She seems pleased, but decides to purchase a Rogers phone on a 2-year contract. Whatever, more commission for me. 3 weeks later she comes in unhappy and asks to return the phone. I explain to her that it would cost around $400 to cancel the plan she has created and that she is too late for a refund. 15 days maximum. She gets pissed and storms out. 2 months later she comes in, attitude up the wazoo, telling me that I sold her a busted phone and she wants all of her money back. I was alone again, so I asked her to give me her phone so I can look at it. I present my hand, and she reaches over to hand it to me. At the last secretary she moves her hand a bit to the side and drops the phone on the tips of my fingers, where it then falls to the floor. She goes apeshit. You broke my phone, I want my money back, and I want a new phone blah blah blah. I try to explain to her that a Nokia 3100'-esque phone will not break from a simple fall. You would need to throw the phone into the fire of Mount Doom to destroy it. She doesn't agree and starts yapping. I tell her that even if her phone was an expensive smartphone like my BlackBerry it would take the fall and still work. So drop it, she says. I ask if I drop my phone from the same height and it still works, if she will leave, and she agrees. Now I'm not going to drop my brand new BlackBerry I purchased just weeks before to some dumb old coot that is sour because she didn't listen to my first advice. I think quick on my feet and remember the stash of fake plastic phones right under the counter. I grabbed one that looks just like my phone and Kamehameha that shit right into the floor, where it shatters in 100 pieces. We both stare at the pieces for a secretary, and she is astonished. She fumbles with her things and takes her phone, and never comes back. I work at a used video game / record store, and we get our fair share of nut jobs. The issue to take the cake, though, was about 2 months ago. A woman came in to trade in a few boxes of DVDs, CDs and the like. My manager and I spent about a half of an hour looking at condition of the discs, and every single one looked like it had been ice skated on. There was even a few cases with dead insects in them. Utterly disgusting. We told her that we had to reject all of her trade because of the poor condition. She flips shit. She starts screaming that we are racist and that she's going to bring her boys down to jump us. Then out of nowhere, she sprints out of the store, leaving all of her shit. 2 hours later, she comes back in, says nothing and just starts loitering around the cash register. Out of nowhere, she begins screaming, that my manager sexually harassed her to a store full of customers. My manager is gay. One of my friends was a purser on a cruise ship and the lengths people would go to get a free room upgrade were astonishing. The best story was a complaint from the passengers about a water leak in their room that had ruined some of their belongings. They wanted an upgrade to first class and announced they would be suing for the full replacement costs of all of their suitcases and the stuff that was in them, cameras, laptop, etc. My friend dispatched maintenance right away. Water leaks on a ship are kind of a big deal, and they were at the room within a minute of receiving the complaint, and they found that the passengers had left ice all around the cabin. Because of how fast maintenance got there, it wasn't fully melted even in the Caribbean heat, and the window was left open. Purser told the passengers they would not be upgraded, would not be moved, they had to sleep in wet beds that night, and would be charged for the cleaning costs of the room when they reached port. I worked in an insurance call center and a woman phoned up to say she had spilt bleach on her carpet and needed to replace it. She had the right cover. It was policy to send an inspector from a cleaning company round to make sure it was a total loss, and this woman happened to live very close to the nearest location. I told her someone would be around to inspect her carpet ASAP and that the depot was 5 minutes away, then started taking details about the accident. She was not happy with all this, and when I asked her when it happened, she got all blustered and eventually said it hasn't happened yet. Idiot. Back when I worked at Dunkin Donuts, a customer used to come in and ask for a cup of water. He would then mix in lemon juice. We had packets of this because some people like lemon with tea, sugar, and salt to create some free ghetto lemonade. Technically he was screwing us over, but I thought it was hilarious, so I didn't hassle him or anything. Working fast food one summer, a customer comes up and looks at my name tag, then makes some kind of rhyme out of my name. It was bad sitcom level acting. Anyway, he makes a small order, then asks for change for a 20. I was already on alert because of his stupid name thing, so I was paying extra attention to what he was doing. He handed me the money for the order, but kept the 20, watched me counter the change, then pulled back and asked for it in fives. When I had the change in my hand, I held out my other hand for the 20. He said he had already given me the money. I just gave him a blank stare and said, no. He backtracked and was like, I'll just go get change from the gas station across the street. Right. Working at Domino's, a woman calls in and wants her money back. She said the pizzas, 4, were burnt. Technically possible, but highly unlikely. Also, she ate the pizzas anyway. We thought she was joking, but she wasn't and the manager refunded her order. She worked at that Domino's, it was just her night off. She was let go a couple of days later. I worked at a local pizza shop that also did wings and subs. I had one guy order 24 wings and a foot-long sub. He comes up to the counter asking if he can change the wings from barbecue to hot. I change his stuff and take his order out. 30 minutes later he comes up and tells me he would like to speak to the manager. I go get my manager and she talked to him for about 10 minutes. She then brings me into the back room and asks me if I made half of the guy's sub cold and the other half toasted. She also asked if I cooked and only made half the wings hot and the other half plain. Turns out the guy licked off all of the hot sauce off of the wings and then took too long to eat his other half of the sub. He wanted his meal to be free because it was made at such poor quality. I've got plenty more if you want to hear them, but this one fits the ops question the best. I worked at a restaurant a few years back. Another server used to keep all her tips in a guest check holder. One day she dropped the bill on a customer's table, but accidentally gave them the holder with all her money in it. Instead of being honest, the couple who had dinner took her cash and left. And they had the balls to come back about 2 months later. The owner told them she knew what they did and asked them to leave. Never saw them again.